How do you feel when you hear this? This is Guts theme, composed by Susumu Hirasawa for the 1997 Berserk anime adaptation. Music in film and television and other mediums always are able to have a great effect on the audience. When you hear a certain sound from your favorite story, you get that feeling, you have that excitement. Sometimes you remember a specific moment from a bunch of characters, or a moment of triumph or of defeat. Guts theme is no exception. Every time I hear that, it has that effect on me. And I'm sure many people watching probably feel the same. But it does more than that, because in Guts theme it has a unique ability in its circumstance. Guts theme is a piece of music from one specific adaptation, the very first, 1997. But it is used in more than just an anime adaptation. It is used for reading the manga. It is used for a lot of different ways culturally to transcend and to give a nod to other people who also are fans of Berserk, fans of the story. That's something that music I haven't seen really happen in a lot of other communities. There's this one piece of music that is in its own way so large and so well known, especially when you hear it, that even people who don't read Berserk or know of it know that theme. Now we have the internet to attribute to that reason and a lot of other reasons. Berserk is not free from memes, just like the rest of the internet, and has in its own ways throughout the years cultivated its meme culture with Guts theme. But regardless, it didn't take over. It still retains a very serious sense of being this piece of music attributed to the main character of our story. But what is it about it? And that's what I want to talk about today. This video will be talking about Guts theme, why it works, how it came to be in terms of looking at Susumu Hirasawa's previous music, and you'll even be hearing for some other creators that I was able to get hold of and them telling you why they love Guts theme. And of course highlighting what you guys said as fans of the community and the story of why you think Guts theme is so good. So my journey today is to figure out that. Why do we love Guts theme? First, again, I have to say that we attribute this amazing piece of music to Susumu Hirasawa. In his 5th year of elementary school, Hirasawa took up the electric guitar, and in 1973 he formed Mandrake. It's a progressive rock band that incorporated a lot of different elements of krautrock and heavy metal. It seems as though with Hirasawa's career that he took a lot of what happened in his life personally to incorporate it into his music. Talking about analytical psychology, philosophies of yin and yang, and he was inspired by a lot of different works, not only of his own country, but also other countries. Kenji Miyazawa, George Orwell, a lot of other things inspired his music, more than just other musicians. It was artists of any kind of way. A lot of people have tried to categorize his music, and this is something that he would have to say. I dislike it when I hear someone describe my music as weird rock or weird techno. Surely this genre is hard to define in the music scene, but it doesn't meet the standard of Western music charts. Hence, if a rock music critic attempts to judge me and my music, all they come up with is ambient music, or music to take drugs to. I want to let my music reach a broader part of society, being music born from Japanese culture. And I think this is why I want to connect to the world that doesn't exist in the music scene. So here you have this very talented man who is trying to find a way to make music that doesn't necessarily have to be branded as ambient music or something else completely different that is categorized by Western culture. And if you listen to Susumu Hirasawa's music, besides even the Berserk collection, you can hear that. It has a wide variety of different techniques, and you can look at his history in terms of the equipment he uses and how it all works. But we're talking about Guts theme specifically. So what does he do to create this effect? When hearing Guts theme, the first notes you hear is the piano. They slightly alter from keys, but still retain the exact same rhythm. In the background, you can hear an atmospheric sound. It's gonna be hard to try not to say ambient, because of course that's not what he would categorize it. But in terms of how I can describe it, it's an ethereal kind of atmosphere that engulfs the notes. Think of the notes like a field, and atop that field is this kind of soundscape. Think of it like a snow globe, and that's kind of how the theme works. And as the theme progresses, it almost opens up. Think of every time you hear the vocals, a piece of the top is opening up, and every single piece of vocal is slowly reaching out into the world. That's the best way I can describe it visually for you. And I think many people can describe it in other great ways that are probably a lot better. But you get an idea of, as the soundscape builds, so do the vocals. And the vocals aren't necessarily very specific with lyrics. They're not very harmonized to match exactly the same as the notes. They're used to complement a different soundscape along with the other pieces. Now, I'm no music student, so I'm talking kind of out my ass when I try and talk about this. But what I can say is that the song has a build-up and a crescendo. And what is great about the theme is the crescendo. And the crescendo is what also makes people meme and enjoy and weep at the sound of this theme. The crescendo of male lyrics are what really catapults this theme into a completely different direction. The male lyrics are what evokes the emotion that is underneath the surface of this song. Think of that snow globe analogy I said, but this time it's fully capped open. And the sound of music and the sound of this male vocals hearing out along with a new set of piano notes kind of shows that this theme is breaching out and trying to say what it's trying to say. And it can have a great variety of emotions. Along with the Berserk 97 anime, Guts theme plays in many different scenarios. It plays in moments of happiness and contemplation. It plays in moments of conflict. One of the first times it plays, and most memorable in 97, is when Guts meets Griffith, and Guts is challenging Griffith for the first time after nearly killing him. He asks him to join the Band of the Hawk and he declines. In that moment beforehand, Griffith is telling Guts what he thinks of him, how he tries to find meaning by putting himself in dangerous situations. As this scene plays, Guts' theme is playing, and you start to realize you're learning a lot about the character as you hear this theme more and more. Guts' theme really plays when Griffith explains to Princess Charlotte what it means to be a true friend to him. It plays when Guts decides to devote himself to Griffith as his friend, as his warrior. It plays when Guts and Casca make love by the waterfall. It plays in so many different moments in the 97 anime. It plays again when Guts realizes that the Raiders are actually fond of him and they care for him and they want to follow him, and he realizes this is the thing he's searching for his whole life. Many moments of Guts' theme can be played across the saddest of moments and the happiest of moments. It has this amazing balance to be sad and melancholy, but also extremely happy and joyful. And I think what's great about the theme is how it balances the two. Berserk, in the very first time you look at the cover, you look at the panels, you even look at the anime, Berserk is a very dark world and a very dark, gritty place for these characters to live. It's an unforgiving world. And the beginning of the song can resemble that truly horrific, unforgiving world. But as the vocals spread, it kind of lets out this shout, this willingness to keep going on. And that, again, is exemplified by Guts, the main character who struggles. And like the manga, going further than the 97 anime ever did, it shows, again, with that theme. That's why so many people, when they reread Berserk or they read for the first time, people are always encouraged to listen to Guts' theme whenever they read it. I myself, when I was first reading it for the first time, I would hop in bed, I would literally queue up Guts' theme, sometimes with rain, sometimes without, and I would just sit there for hours and read chapter after chapter until it was time for me to fall asleep. And that was something that I really can't get out of my head. Whenever I see a panel, I can hear it. But actually to have a piece of sound and music that also evokes the feeling of those panels, even though it wasn't made for them, it was made for an anime adaptation, is truly an impressive feat. A lot of themes have this ability. Themes for characters can be a hit or a miss. When you hear the theme, you think of the character. We know that Guts' theme has that potential to just forward thrust a reader into the world of Berserk, and to hear his theme, hear Guts' theme, even when you're reading, no, this is the guy I'm reading, this is the guy I'm following. This theme is able to encapsulate everything that's happening in this story and give me 100% the true value of his character, even though this wasn't made for a manga. Many, many years later, the creation of a website called knowyourmeme.com was created. And it's a place where you store all the memes of the entire world, so everyone can be in on the joke. And I can tell you that Guts' theme has its own page there. And it is very, very important in terms of when we talk about Guts' theme that we have to acknowledge the true history of what else Guts theme means in terms of Leah's readers. Many years later, in the year of 2009, on January 25th, a user by the name of Ivory uploaded the song of Guts theme to YouTube. Long after that, many people followed, uploading versions of Guts theme, hour long, 10 hours long, hour with rain, 10 hours with rain. You could find many versions of Guts theme on YouTube and covers. I myself use a lo-fi cover that was created by this man called Five, and I love it. So there is no bound to the fact that Guts theme is loved by the internet. But you do know that every time the internet loves something, it has to become a meme. Long after it was used for covers and everything after, no one really knows the first time it was used in memes, and when it was really referenced in the Berserk subreddit and communities. But not since March 2019, which is actually pretty late in the meme game to use it. But apparently a Redditor by the name of King Froze posted one of the earliest memes based on the song, and in it, MC Ride cries to a different song every day, posted the earliest viral meme featuring Guts theme, which got a lot of likes and a lot of shares. And as you can see, this is probably what could be known as the very first well-known meme. And from there it just went on. Shut the fuck up, I'm listening to Guts meme. Oh look, people staring off in the sunset listening to Guts meme. One of my two favorites was Penguin staring off into the sunset for Guts meme, and Guy walks into water listening to Guts theme. Two of my very favorite Guts memes. Very happy with those ones. But of course I think one of the ones that drove it the most was a TikTok trend. My day be so fine, then boom, horny. These are things that actually, compared to memes in the Berserk community, I would say are probably some of the best memes. Guts theme is interesting because you could take it extremely seriously, but you can also take it as kind of a meme. It's just listening to it, you start to realize, oh, I do want to find out who I want to be, and I do want to change, and I do want to be a better version of myself. But at the same time, yeah, it's the dude staring in the sunset. And I think it's honestly not bad for it to be a meme. Most memes kind of destroy the value of the original piece, but Guts theme stood the test of time. Still to this day, you can meme it, and I meme it, but you can also appreciate it for what it is. I listen to it sometimes when I'm reading the newest chapters, sometimes when I'm rereading an old chapter for a video. I use it to kind of elevate what it is. And sometimes I'll be on the bus and I'll be like, you know what, sometimes I kind of want to be a bit chill and just listen to Guts theme. Not only is the theme prominent in meme culture, people respect it as a legitimate piece of music, even to use it in very touching, truly beautiful moments in their lives. Gant, who is a well-known YouTuber, Gigark, used it for his wedding. His wife, Sidsnap, walked down the aisle to Guts theme. That is something that many people could look at and think is extremely cringe and different, but I think it's something that is very important to people, to have a piece of music that they identify and have an emotional connection with. It's like, again, when you use your favorite song at your wedding dance. Why wouldn't you? And why wouldn't you use a piece of music that maybe changed your life or made you think different about the world? It goes beyond just the meme of, yeah, we used it for our wedding. It goes beyond the meme of using it in a TikTok or using it as a meme because I died on the next run of Elden Ring. But it can be used to actually make people think differently. So people listen to it in more than just a few ways. And of course, cover it in so many ways. The amount of covers for Guts theme is insane. The amount of themes that came out after the passing of the late Miura-san was staggering. There was so many great orchestral covers that came from respecting the life of Kentaro Miura. One I personally love and use for some of these videos is by Rush Garcia. Now this theme is an orchestral piece that is taking Guts theme minus some of the vocals and elevating it into this full orchestral piece that you could probably see in some trailer or at least the end of a movie. It's one of the best covers I've ever heard of Guts theme ever. I really urge you to check it out. It's really amazing. So from what we can gather, the reason why people love Guts theme is the meaning behind it, the essential memories that you have. And I think that is probably one of the greatest reasons to love a piece of music, is the memories you have for it. I think we all do that, especially not with themes, but just pieces of music in general. Remembering the music you heard the first time that, I don't know, you turned 18, or the first party you went to, or the first game you beat and listening to the music that played at the end. These are all different moments that could really encapsulate you yourself and what you love about it. I think it's easy and also hard at the same time to really talk about it. Sometimes pieces of media can just speak for themselves. I could talk forever about why I love the story. I could talk forever about why I love Guts theme. I could talk forever about the soundscape. I could talk forever about the memes, the history, the creation, the elevation, way character themes work. Sometimes it just speaks for itself. And, you know, I will tell you what I think. But first, I want to go to the community. I asked on my community post what people think, why do they love Guts' theme? And I want to read some out because I think there's some really genuine pieces of insight. Guts' theme is both romantic and gut-wrenching, but it also doesn't feel out of place during more intimate moments in the story, such as the Bonfire of Dreams scene or the scene in which Griffith discusses friendship to Princess Charlotte. Mostly, it is a tune that I find uplifting, especially when the chorus comes up. I just feel at ease. Reminds me of everything I've been through. Not anything as serious as what Guts went through, but still, it was a hell, and yet it somehow gives me relief and hope. It's an emotional progression piece, no matter how you're feeling, happy, sad, in love, stuck. It doesn't matter what's going on in your life. It kind of just feels like a safe place to let your feelings overflow. Possibly the best piece of music I discovered. It instantly makes my anger go away and helps me just feel whatever it is that's on my mind. Or, you know, maybe I'm just another dum-dum spewing nonsense. I think all us strugglers are conditioned to find the good and nice in the midst of the bad and the mean. The dreamy harps and vocals are a nice contrast on the dark, jagged world of Berserk. I find it meditative, especially when things in my life are chaotic. It's a Swiss Army knife of a song that makes me feel melancholic, hopeful, lonely, and warm. You can listen to it and instantly understand how it fits Guts and how perfect it is. Hirasawa is a genius. Because of its kind of sad beauty, it fits Berserk and Guts perfectly. Depressing as fuck on the surface, but full of hope on the inside. I love his theme because it's his theme. It encapsulates this man swept up in a violent world trying to find peace. The reverb makes it nostalgic, almost as if it's distant. That's where the melancholy nature comes from. Honestly, I'm not going to give an explanation for it. It's just perfect in every way, and it is just so emotional. Whenever I hear it, I feel like I'm carrying eons of emotional baggage. I just love it. It's very interesting from a perspective of symbolism. As we know, Guts has been the struggler his entire life. Surely riddled with trauma from Gambino's abuse in his youth, trauma incurred, spectating the horrors of the eclipse. You might expect a man like Guts, who was always fighting these unwinnable battles that cause him to teeter on the edge of life and death, to have a grittier, heavier metal theme or something. However, his theme is the polar opposite. It's calm, ethereal, beautiful even. It symbolizes the beauty in the struggle, and how natural of a state that is for Guts. On the other hand, the calm and somber tonality also reflects a tired, heavy heart. While Guts could never stop swinging his sword, he just wants to retire, rest with his comrades, happy. As you can see, there are so many different perspectives, there's so many different personal feelings about this song. A lot of them very similar, a lot of them extremely different, but tonally, the same. Many people don't really have any qualms about the theme being too short, the theme not representing the character. It's very unique in the way that is a bubble. It is stuck. Once you enter it and you hear the theme, it's something it's something impossible to detach your perspective from. And you could have found the theme through any of these different avenues, through watching the anime, through reading the manga, through looking at the subreddit, through the memes, through TikTok. That's when I first learned that Guts' theme was the meme on TikTok. That's how I first learned about it. And when I listened to it the first time and then read the manga, I completely have a different perspective of it. I see it as a kind of a meme that I saw once, depending on the context, but at the same time, it's a piece of music I respect, and it's a piece of music I dearly love. But that is something that I think is really great. It's not just people who are posting what they love in comments in subreddits. It's the people who create for this community. So I'd like to now pass it off to a bunch of creators who were happy to let me clip, but also film, especially for this video, their thoughts on Guts' theme and how it makes them feel. So please enjoy what they have to say.
I mainly hear this song linked to sadness or depression, and I'm not here to say that that interpretation is wrong. You know, it's music. You can interpret it however you want. And I do agree there is hints of sadness here, but I just think it's an understatement to just simply call it that, a sad song. Much like the character it's named after is multi-layered and can fit through so many different emotions. The song perfectly sums up Guts' feelings and emotions and personality. That's why it's not a heavy metal, dick swinging, shredding guitar solo. It's reflective, it's sad, but it's hopeful. It sounds like the music you hear when you realize that things are gonna be okay. The piano keys mixed in with that almost spacey, watery, like moving around sound, I don't really know how to explain it, help build the atmosphere of the opening parts of the song that will carry over throughout it. For me, I imagine this opening part of the song being when you're just really fucking sad in life. And then when those echoey, distant, muffled vocals come in, it's like being in a sad fog, but seeing a light at the end of the tunnel that sure kinda seems far away, but it also seems just close enough where if you just keep moving forward, you can make it out of this. Then when the song hits its climax, it's like finally reaching out of that fog, and suddenly things are gonna be okay.
I love how we have this character of Guts who's just extremely edgy and just really cool, badass character who gets into some of the coolest fights and just beats the shit out of these monsters. You'd think that his theme would be something more like the My Brother or the Dragon Slayer theme, but it's this completely beautiful and calming and soothing OST. And despite Guts's violent nature, this OST just fits him so well. It almost seems like the very subtle noises in the background of this OST and the very quiet and mellow instruments being used kind of represent the noise and the events that Guts has to go through daily, if you kind of know what I'm saying. It kind of fits that lonely struggler who's on this quest by himself of vengeance and who constantly debates what path he should take, and it sort of represents that child within Guts, that child who was traumatized by so many different events in his life, and it kind of just represents Guts' inner nature. There aren't any direct lyrics, it's just a bunch of noise, and the combination of all that noise comes together to fit this character of Guts, this extremely nuanced and deep character.
Step forward and start sculpting the future into the present. You cannot know if success will befall you, but you will know if you never strived for it. But do not misunderstand. Do not be impatient in your strivings, for a clear purpose is needed. It will serve as your light at the end of the tunnel. It will give you guidance, but it will not accommodate you. It will not teach you, and it will not coddle you, nor should you want it. Your life is defined by your propensity to overcome the darkness that consumes far too many. You must wrestle with your demons, push yourself to the brink of extinction, and view your failures as a badge of honor, for they will be your motivation in the future, for they will be the stones that sharpen your mind and your courage. You may stumble upon your path, you may lose your way entirely, but your rigorous work ethic will not falter. You will make your own path, a lone traveler, searching for that ultimate purpose. And while you may feel lonely along the way, and while others may not understand your decision, you will gain something of great importance. You will start to understand yourself at a new level, at levels you never dreamed of. You will sacrifice many things in the process, friends, security, and comfort, but no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself.
The Guts theme to me just feels like the soundtrack of something where it's 1 a.m, you can't sleep, you go outside, you just lay in the grass, and you're staring up, looking at the stars, contemplating everything that's happened so far, knowing that you've come so far, and there's still so far to go, and you're on this never-ending journey, and you're just laying there looking up at the sky, and you're wondering, is it worth getting back up again? And you just listen to the haunting sounds of the choir and just the music going in the background, and while you're laying there, for some reason, it reminds me of the scene, where Guts is laying on the grass and he's looking up at the moon and he has the arrow in him, and for all intents and purposes, he should probably just roll over and die. But there's something within him that just compels him to continue moving forward, and maybe it's that push you need, maybe it's that comfort you need, but you're just laying there and you're listening to it and everything's quiet, there's nobody around, there's nobody to talk to, it's just you and the stars and just that haunting sound that somehow makes you feel sad and yet want to continue forward at the same time.
I think Guts' theme is perfect for the character. It's something that really subverts the expectations of who he is and what he's really about, just like when you continue reading Berserk and you find out his past, his true goals, and his desires. There's so much more to him in the story of Berserk than the violence and the darkest elements that can appear within its narrative. And so I think Guts' theme is the perfect embodiment of that. And with the beautiful melodies that it has, the higher toned vocals, and the very peaceful sounds that are played throughout the entire soundtrack, Guts' theme is the perfect embodiment of I'm going through shit, but I'll be okay. It's one of those soundtracks that one can listen to when one's trying to relax. It's one that fits a romantic scene, just like we get in the 1997 anime with Guts and Casca. It's one that could fit a scene of sorrow, of reminiscing, everything from the quiet moment of the soundtrack before the vocals hit in. I mean, all of it creates this sort of just empowering, nostalgic feeling that just drives one with a ton of emotion. And despite the fact that it was in memes everywhere over a year ago, I think when one is going through a rough time, just listening to Guts' soundtrack can really bring a certain level of release and comfort at the same time. Personally, I'm not someone who likes to listen to sad sounding music or anything that might get me or get my mind thinking of something I don't want to really think about, or of a person I don't really want to think about. But when I listen to Guts' theme, in a way I feel as if though I'm able to let those feelings out. And for me, that is why I love Guts' theme.
I don't know if this video may have answered the question. I kind of went into this video planning a lot of different things of what would happen, reading the comments, listening to other people's perspectives, doing my research on Hirasawa-san, and trying to, I guess, come to the conclusion once I've listened to them all at once. And I can still say that there is something that maybe we can't explain. There are so many words that we can use that maybe even just fail us. And I think it's the same with Guts as a character. There are so many ways he could speak and tell us how he feels, but it's a piece of music that we look at the most that already tells us. It's the panels and the pages and the dialogue and the actions. It's his way of carrying through the world that speaks for itself. And the music that follows him is something really special that can do that. I guess that's not really the answer I was looking for in terms of why. And again, maybe the answer is literally just subjective to you. But I guess I'll cap up this video by talking about what I love about Guts' theme and what it means to me. I'm someone who has had a bit of tragedy in my life. I think we all have, and I think if you have read Berserk, you may have really understood a bit more about that tragedy in your life, and maybe you feel a bit different about it. Maybe you feel like you haven't experienced a lot of tragedy. It doesn't really matter. And I think with this piece of music, it made me reconcile who I am, what I think of stuff that happens to me, really shitty stuff, like losing a family member, or maybe trying to figure out who I am and what I want to do with this channel, succeeding and failing and kind of fucking up my way through the life of me. And when I listen to that music, there is a piece of music I have in a lot of my playlists called comfort music. It's music that makes me kind of feel like this is nice, this is relaxing, this is making me feel like if someone can create something this good that makes me feel this way, maybe I can create something just as good, or maybe I'll be okay, I'll be fine, there's people around me. It's something that I don't really talk about, and it's something that I genuinely found refreshing when I finished the manga, when I caught up. When I listened to Guts' theme, I don't feel angry, I don't feel sad, I feel like there is a way forward. There is an ability for me to keep pressing on. There is a chance for me to be the person I want to be, to make the choices I want to make, and to succeed where I can. Tragedy will hit me regardless, and it will hit me hard, and it will kick me on my ass. But I think it'll be fine, because similar to when I have this mental image of people I care about, and those who have passed and those who are still here, I have this idea of walking along a road, and on that road is someone like Guts, maybe someone like me. And I can just picture it in my head when I close my eyes of this guy with that sword walking through the woods and this theme playing with that small little fairy following him into the darkness, knowing that he'll probably make it out the other side. That's probably what I have to say. So again, I'll ask you, how do you feel when you hear this sound? Thanks everyone for watching to the end. Really appreciate it. This was a video I was very excited to make, and thank you to all the channels who submitted clips and let me take clips of their thoughts on Guts theme already. Links are all in the description down below. If you haven't heard of these guys, if you have, please check them out. They've all got content that is related to anime, manga, and some to Berserk. If you really enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and check in for some later videos in the future. I'd really appreciate it. But that's all from me. Please, if you didn't get a chance to comment on these posts, tell me again down below. Tell me what you think. That's all from me. My name's Mugen. As always, have a good one.